Welcome back. Inside the Messy Middle is a special series from the inner game of change. This series explores what it means to carry responsibility between strategy and delivery, between what has been imagined and what must now be made real. Today, I want to talk about something many people and organizations recognize. The weight of the middle sometimes feels heavier than the authority that comes with it. There are moments in change where something shifts. You begin to see what needs to happen, you understand where things are not quite working, you feel responsible for making it better. And at the same time, you realize something else. You do not fully control the system. You're expected to deliver outcomes, to support your team, to interpret strategy, to manage the day-to-day reality, but you do not always have the full decision rights, full resources, or full permission to redesign what needs to change. There is a phrase often used in leadership: responsibility without authority. And for many people in the middle of organizations, this is not a theory. It is a daily experience. When this tension is not understood, something else can happen. Accountability gets pushed downward, but authority does not move with it. And over time, people begin to carry more than they can fully shape. If you look back in history, this is not new. Roman centurions played a similar role. They were not the ones setting the strategy, but they were responsible for how it played out in the field. They carried authority in moments, but not full control of the system. And much of the success depended on their judgment in real time. You can see similar patterns in other parts of history. Naval captains during the Age of Exploration were given a mission, a destination, a direction, but once they were at sea, they had to make decisions on their own. They carried full responsibility for the journey and the crew, but they could not redesign the mission itself. They had to navigate with incomplete information, adjusting course as conditions changed. In many ways, the middle of organizations operates in a similar space. You see something similar in modern organizations. In systems like Toyota, much of the responsibility for quality sits with people close to work. They're expected to solve problems, adjust processes, keep things moving, but they are not redesigning the whole system. They are working within it, and their judgment is what holds the system together. Inside organizations today, the middle often sits in the same space, close enough to see what's happening, but not always positioned to change everything that needs to change. And this creates a particular kind of tension, because you can see the gap between what was planned and what is actually happening. You can see what your team needs, you can see what is getting in the way, but you cannot always remove it completely. This is where something deeper begins to happen. Many people start questioning themselves, not the system. Am I missing something? Should I just follow the plan? Am I overstepping? This is the weight of the middle, where responsibility increases, but authority does not always increase with it. So what happens in these moments? Some people step back. They stay within boundaries of what they can control. They do what is required, but no more. Others begin to stretch the role. They interpret, they adjust, they make small changes where they can. They create space for their teams. They carry more than what is formally assigned. And this is where the messy middle becomes very real, because leadership here is not about control, it is about judgment. It is about knowing when to escalate, when to adapt locally, when to follow the instruction, and when to protect the intent, when to hold the line, and when to soften it so the work can continue. This work is not always visible, and it is not always recognized, but it does matter, because this is where change either holds or begins to break. Inside the messy middle, organizations do not move forward because everything is perfectly designed. They move forward because people in the middle make the work possible. And perhaps this is the quiet truth. The middle has always carried responsibility without full authority. This pattern has existed across systems, not just organizations. It is not a flaw, it is part of how complex systems function. And maybe the role is not to remove the tension completely, but to learn how to work within it, with judgment, with care, and with a clear sense of what really matters. Because inside the messy middle, leadership is not always about having control. Sometimes it is about carrying the work forward, even when you cannot shape all of it. Until the next time.